Welcome to the fourth phase, the subconscious minds. I love this model. It's one of my favorites without that because we can influence and automatize our goals, achieving, our doing. So, how to develop an agile mind with science-based tools? Welcome to the fourth phase, the subconscious minds. We are almost there, everybody. Agile Mind EQ Boost. Let's see this. So, why we do what we do? That's the main question of psychology, right? Because, you know, many people don't do, and in many cases, we didn't do what was in our best interest, in our long-term best interest, for sure, right? So this is very important because it's short-term versus long-term. We will see how we can deal with that. What we will think we'll do versus what we actually do, what we really do. So this is Milgram experiment, and it's very, very interesting because they did this to understand how the people from the Nazis, right? They were so obedience to this authority, right? And this Hitler, right, who was dealing, and they were going against their values and their principles, but they wanted to understand better. So this experimenter, which was the head of the experimentation, right? He get the subject, which is the teacher, okay? The teacher is in charge of these controls that are supposed to give electrical shocks, okay? To the learner, which is actually an actor, a confederate of the experimenter. Depending, so the teacher, the subject, okay, imagine it's yourself, you are told, okay, depending on how this learner makes things appropriately, so if he's correct, you just leave it fine. But if he's incorrect, the experimenter will tell you, okay, you have to give electrical shocks to this guy to make him learn. All right, so that's the experimentation. Boom! All right, so the guy gets electrocuted according to the experimenter instructions. Okay, so you will be subject to what he says in order to do. So you think about it, you say, okay, this is crazy. I will not go very far, but it's surprising. This experiment is very popular, has been repeated very many times. Always, this teacher, the subject, us are so subject to obedience that we go so far and we actually electrocute people much more than we want just because we are being told to do so. Okay, so this is very powerful example of how unconsciously and subconsciously we act against our values because we are being told, and that's how we've been educated, right? Obedience to authority, to our parents, to our teachers, without question, just follow the rules. So what results will you expect in this science? Okay, 1,785 deaths this year on Texas roads. Actually, without the sign, they have less killing, less deaths. Okay, it's incredible how the unconscious behaves. Apparently, when you see this sign, you say, "Oh, there's a lot of people dying here, so it's okay to die." That's how unconsciously our brain is primed to see these signs and make these kind of assumptions, right? And this kind of logic. This is a very famous, popular advertisement to avoid people or youngsters, right? Adolescents to take drugs. Is like, this is your brain in drugs. And actually, this motivates the youngsters to take drugs, because, oh, that's so cool, I want to experience that. No smoking, this science actually induce to people to want to smoke more. That's how unconsciously our mind is wired to do things that we were not expected to do. So why we do what we do, right? So we have an unconscious programming. The mind is like this, like an iceberg, okay? So we have a few things that is visible that we are consciously aware, and then everything is behind, is under it, which is subconscious and unconscious. It's like an iceberg. And Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So it's very important that we make conscious all these beliefs, all these values, or everything that is holding us back, all right, in order to understand what is going on. And what percentage makes it to the conscious? What percentage makes it to the conscious? What do you think? If something happens to you right now, what makes to the conscious mind? Because our brain is so powerful. It has the capacity to process 11 million bits per second of information, and our conscious mind is just able to process 50 bits per second. Imagine you are reading, right? So it's like this test of a few words per second, right? We can read. So basically, almost everything is unconsciously processed. Everything that is in our environment. That's the power of our unconscious and subconscious mind, our brain. Yeah. So that's why we want to make use of that for helping us to achieve the most desirable goals. We do what we see. Okay, that's the unconscious programming that we have been involved since our childhood. We do what we see. And wherever we have learned is because we saw someone doing it before and we imitate, and then we know, and then we take it and we inheritate it as part of ourselves, of our identity, of our ego, of who we are. So that's why we may procrastinate or do things that you never expected to do, because there are some unconscious goals that you are not aware that make you do the things that you are doing. So they have conflicts of interest between unconscious goals and conscious goals. And what are the triggers of unconscious goals, right? What is the priming of what is the unconscious goal that we have within? So there are common contexts like work versus home. We may have different moralities, behaviors, and values at home than at work. At work is more aggressive. It's like, nah, we just want to make money. And at home is more kind, more relaxed and more loving. Words and images can affect our behavior so much, they can prime us to do things that we were not expected to do, like healthy brushes in the supermarket. Power, authority, as we saw in the Milgram experiment, right? Threats and states of need, for instance, as well. If we are hungry, okay, and we go to the supermarket, we're going to be more likely to buy much more. Even if it's not food, we are likely to purchase more. These are experiments that they have done once and once and once. Heat, when we take a coffee, for instance, and it's warm, we are more likely to be kind and we're going to be more loving and compassionate. So, what can we do? Knowing all this, we are aware of this. Now, implementation intentions. These are the formula, okay, for the setbacks or for the obstacles that we may find while performing or doing our tasks, okay, that prevent us to procrastinate and to do things even if we are not, well, our will is lower or we have less motivation. So the intent of the goal will be something like, I want to achieve X. The implementation intention will be, if I encounter this situation, whatever, then I will perform behavior Z. And this is very powerful because it's like a formula. It's like, okay, if my mother calls me and makes me frustrated, instead of going to the fridge and take any food I want just to make me feel better, I will take 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and meditate and understand why her words hurt me, for instance, right? So this kind of automatize our goals, achieving our behaviors, and prepare us to know, because finally our triggers, the things that we end up procrastinating or don't doing, they are triggers that we already recognize them, and we can be more clear about it. So how other tips, to automatize goals: set clear and important goals to stabilize motivation and intention. Delegate tasks to the unconscious mind by starting early, taking breaks, and meditating. This is very powerful. So if you have a presentation to make, don't leave it until the end. Don't procrastinate. Just start today, and your subconscious mind and conscious mind will still working even if it's not actually doing it. But it will have, an unconscious goal that this presentation has to be finished. Develop positive habits. Allow your subconscious to take over. Okay, so that's the power of habits. Use priming wisely. Motivational vision board, for instance. This is like the supermarket brochure that we saw before. Okay, this priming is when a stimulus, an outside stimulus, influence our behavior unconsciously. Okay, so we prime, we see something, an object, and unconsciously this is going to make us act in different way in a later situation. Take care of your environment. If we do what we see, try to see cool things, empowering things, companies, companions, social media, work colleagues, etc. Please be mindful because we take all that in unconsciously. Again, awareness is good. Accountability is give you power. Okay, we do it and we learn, we understand. So the play word is very simple exercise. It's long term versus short term. Understand, better why you procrastinate, where are the sources, and focus on this long term, which are the ones that is going to give you to the next level, to reach the next level, and it's going to make you better yourself. So going further together, please share what have you learned in this session, what have you learned after doing the exercise, and connect with others. I highly encourage you. Thank you much more for your attention and see you in the next module.